my name is Michael Bosey. Welcome to the program. Glad you can join me today on what I think will be a short episode. I wanted to talk about something that I call the Ambient Awareness Test and what it is and how to use it. I've been talking a lot about speaking with clarity, with empathy, but in order to have empathy, you got to listen. And this Ambient Awareness Test is a great way to listen to what others think of you and your brand. And it's a way to tell, or at least assess, how well people understand what it is that you do, what your brand stands for, what you're projecting to the world. So here's how it works. For me, I use LinkedIn because it feels like sort of a natural environment for this type of activity, where you've got this closed network of past, present, and future people that you either have worked with or are working with or may work with in the future, right? Sort of this, this network where you've got some loose connections that maybe have potential and you've got some tight connections, from folks that you know very, very well. Now, we often make the mistake that, we think that when we post something, everyone's paying attention to what we do. And of course, that's not the case, right? We're not the center of anyone's world, except maybe, your spouse or your family. And even then, it's not fair to expect that all the time. And especially LinkedIn. LinkedIn is perfect for this because it's just not that type of, the personal relationships. It's more of in a business context. So the way that I do this is just from time to time, I ask folks in my LinkedIn network, sometimes this might be via messaging or in a phone call or conversation, and I just ask one simple question: what do I do? In other words, in your view, can you articulate to me what it is that I do in my business or projects that I have or whatnot? What is getting through ambiently on my feed and what I project, by way of my content, my podcast, my videos, my posts? What is it that I do? The answer to this question is really, really revealing because, look, these are folks who are not intently following every single thing that you do because, to expect that would be ridiculous, right? They're getting this information piecemeal. They're paying attention to it lightly. And when they articulate back to you what you do in their own words, there's two things that happen here. One, it's an assessment of what gets through. Are you being consistent enough in your messaging and what you put out there so that someone, even lightly paying attention, gets it? And the second thing, maybe even more important, is when they're using their own language about what it is that you do, that gives you some clues as to how others might describe what it is that you do, right? Because that's what they're doing to you. And some of that language is often really useful because you wouldn't think to use that language because, you have your own way of articulating something, but the way that someone else has received your message, even if it's ambiently, and then can articulate it back to you, or more importantly, when they articulate it to someone else, what is that language they're going to use? This is really important for you to know. And if you do this enough, you might notice a pattern where people are using particular words, terms, phrases to describe your work. This is of enormous benefit because if you know how people are talking about you and your brand, you got a better shot at connecting with future prospects, customers, colleagues, if you're using language they already use. Now look, this method, this test is not foolproof. It's just an indicator. It's something that you will, use your best judgment and put it to use or not. But I find this to be really, really helpful just as a quick check-in to make sure that I'm doing enough listening and connecting with people in the way that I hope to. I take on a lot of projects, a lot of topics. I'm often, making adjustments and changes. And it's funny how certain things persist in my messaging, some things that are consistent, and that's good. And then other things that can be confusing. It's good for me to know about that. It's probably good for you as well. All right, I'll stop there and invite you to take part in this test as well, both to try it out in your own realm and ask the question of an acquaintance, of someone in your LinkedIn feed, or, pick any social platform, doesn't really matter. Pick friends or family, whatever works. But also I invite you to do this for me too. Hit me up in the comments on Twitter, on LinkedIn. Let me know what it is that you think that I do in your own words. I'd appreciate that too. All right. Thanks as always for your attention. Was really glad to have you here and talk through this concept, and I hope that you'll put it to good use. So thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode.